easier.
Okay, tonight's story is about a man whose name was Reb Baruch. And if you know the story, then everyone together say, "Oh, I know this story." Okay, should we do a practice? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I know this story. Okay, welcome everyone that's watching online. Here's our story. One time there was a Yid, his name was Baruch. And Baruch had a daughter who was 25 years old. And she was getting older every day. And he tried and tried to find her a chassan, a groom, someone that she could marry. The problem was that in those days, any girl that wanted to get married, her father would offer a big amount of money for her and her husband to be. And this way, after they get married, he could sit and learn Torah and not have to worry about working or anything like that. But our Reb Baruch was very poor. He didn't have any money. He barely had enough money. Poor means he doesn't have money. Arim in Yiddish. He was so poor. He didn't have money to give to his daughter's chassan after the wedding, and he didn't even have money, barely enough money to buy food. You know why? Because he lived in a city where the paritz, the nobleman, was in charge. And the nobleman was very mean. And he always came to the Yidden and he said, "You have to give us a lot of money," because he would gamble his money and waste it. And sometimes he wanted to have big parties and he didn't have enough money. So he would come to all the Yidden of his city and say, "It's a tax you have to pay." So he was so poor. And he really had to marry off his daughter. Finally, one day, somebody came to his house. He said, "I'm a shadchan, I'm a matchmaker. And I have the best bacher for your daughter." And he's such a good bacher. Matchmaker is a shadchan. He's somebody that calls up people and says, "Oh, you have a son? I have a daughter. Let's make a chashidach. Maybe they could be chassan and kala." So he called him. He didn't call. It was before telephones. He knocked on his door and he said, "I have a very good idea who your daughter could marry." Yay, he was so happy, but he didn't have the money. So he went to his Rebbe. His Rebbe's name was...
Was there banks in those? Was there only one bank?
Yeah, there was a few banks. Yeah. There, he went to his Rebbe. His Rebbe was Elimelech of Lizhenk.
What's that, Rabbi?
You never heard of that Rebbe? He was a very big tzaddik. He lived in a town called Lizhenk. His name was Elimelech. It's in Poland.
Did he live in the same city?
No. It took him 2 days to travel.
Because Melech means a king.
No, Elimelech, what's his name? It's a name. It means king, but it's just a name. And he went to this tzaddik, and he came to him, and he said, "I want to marry off my daughter, but I don't have any money. I don't have money to make a wedding. I don't have money to give a dowry to them. What should I do?" And the Rebbe smiled and took out 3 coins. They were 3 10-kopek coins. A kopek is like a penny. A 10-kopek coin is a dime.
What's a dime?
A dime, you know what dime is? 10 cents?
It's bigger than a penny. A penny?
It's a little smaller than a penny, but it's worth more than a penny.
A kopek is one penny.
Exactly. And he went, and the Rebbe told him, one second, we'll take questions soon, okay? The Rebbe told him that here's 3 coins for you. He looked at the coins. He looked at the coins.
But then I can't see if there's a spider.
There's no spiders.
No, but
He looked at the coins.
I think you came off on the carpet, and I think there's still a family here.
Don't worry. He looked at the coins, and he saw that it was 30 kopecks total. I can't make a chasna with 30 kopecks. I can barely buy a loaf of bread for 30 kopecks. I need 1,000 rubles to make a wedding with a musician and a caterer.
30 kopecks?
Yeah, 30 kopecks is nothing. It's not enough money. It's barely anything. What should he do?
3 or 30?
30. It was 3 coins. Each coin was worth 10 kopecks. a total of like 30 cents. But he didn't want to ask the Rebbe or complain, so he smiled and he started to walk backwards out of the Rebbe's room.
Why backwards?
Because it's not respect to turn your back to the Rebbe. So he walked out backwards.
That's what you do with the eye.
Right, with the eye, we do that also, right. He walked out backwards and he started to go home. And as he's walking home, he's thinking, what am I going to tell my daughter? What am I going to tell my wife? I went to the Rebbe and I don't have any money to make the wedding. But then he said, no, I'm going to be happy anyways. And I'm going to think positively. I'm going to have a munah bitachin. If the Rebbe gave me these coins, for sure everything's going to work out. I don't know how, but it's going to work out. He started to walk. And as he got out of the city, he heard someone screaming, Baruch, Baruch. Is someone calling me? Baruch, Baruch. He turns around and he sees there's a Chosid running. Baruch, stop. What happened? Oh, I know. The Rebbe was testing me. Now he's going to give me more money. Finally, Baruch caught up. I was chasing you. The Rebbe said I should tell you to give back one of the coins because he gave you too much. All you need is 20 kopecks, only 2 coins. Huh? That's surprising. I'm even more confused. And he took out the coin from his pocket and gave it to this Chosid, who turned around and went back. So now all the Baruch had was 20 kopecks. That's even less than before. Now he's really in trouble. What's he going to do? How is he going to make a chasana?
20 kopecks.
He continued walking on his way to get back home, and then in front of him, he sees a group of wild people. And they're sitting around a fire, and he says, uh-oh, spaghetti-o, this is trouble. What are they going to do to me? But then he remembered that he just came from the Rebbe. So in his mind, he pictured the face of the tzaddik, and he stood up straight, and he smiled. He showed them that he wasn't scared. Yeah, he stood up. He was walking, but he was walking a little bit like this. He stood up straight, and he started to walk, and all of a sudden, 3 of these wild people said, "Hey, mister, where are you going?" And he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You want to buy this?" And they showed him a purse. It was like a man's purse. It's a fancy pouch with a zipper. And he opens up the zipper.
Where did they get it from?
I don't know. He opened the zipper.
He stole it?
I don't know, maybe. He looked inside and he saw that there was some money inside. It was 20,000 German marks. It's from a different country. It was their money. But it wasn't the money from Poland. It was the money from Germany. They didn't know, but he knew what it was. And he said, "Oh, I'll buy this." And they said, "Okay, how much?" It's 30 kopecks. He said, I don't have 30 kopecks anymore. I only have 20 kopecks. Oh, man, what am I going to do? Oh. And then he said, "You know what? I just want the papers inside." "Oh, those pictures? For 20 kopecks, you could have the pictures. We'll keep the purse." They were so happy. They said, "Okay, we're going to give him the papers, and they're going to keep the purse. And then they could sell the purse to somebody else." So he took it, and they left. And he came home all excited.
It's just going to be 10 kopecks.
Yeah. He came home all excited, and he told his wife what happened. And she said, "Baruch, what happened to you? You have to make sure that it's okay to take it. What if it's not theirs? What if they stole it? Right? What if we can't just take it? We can't use that money. We have to first find out if it belongs to somebody." He said, "You're right." And he turned around and he went right back to his Rebbe to ask him if he's allowed to keep that money because maybe it belongs to somebody.
No, he took the papers.
But the papers were money. It was like money from a different country. So they thought it was just pictures, but it was really money. So he came back. And when he got to Lizhensk, to Reb Elimelech, He's almost in the city, and he sees a guy with a bandaged eye, a patch over his eye. He says, "Hey, you, remember me?" "Yeah, I remember you. You're one of the guys that sold me the purse." He said, "You'll never believe what happened. Right after you left, we were sitting around the fire, and all of a sudden the pirates, the nobleman from the next city, from your city, he came by, and he said, 'You better give me back my purse,' because he was traveling. He dropped his purse, and he lost it. And he grabbed the purse. He opened it up, and he saw that those papers weren't inside. He started to scream and yell and shout, and he was so angry at us that he started to beat us up. And beat us and beat us and beat us. Finally, we managed to escape.
How did they escape if he's like...
Because they ran very fast. So, Reb Baruch said, "Oh my, that's a nace, that's a miracle." You know why?
No, because if they run like that, like when I saw the spider, I couldn't run away because I wanted to come when it was sleeping, and I saw it crawling, and it was tiny.
So this is what happened next. The guy told him that if you would have bought the purse with the money inside, and we didn't have it, the pirates would continue going towards you. He would find you with the purse. Then you would get in trouble. So he was able to keep it and make the chasana for his daughter. And then he understood why his Rebbe said 30 is too much. Because if he had 30, he would have bought the whole purse. And then the pirates would have found him and beaten him up for taking his purse, which he didn't even take. That's the end of our story. Gute Nacht. Thanks all for watching. Have a wonderful evening.